yahageze. Urayibona ute? Ntacyoroshye nkabyo. Muri smartphone yawe urayishakira muri Play Store cyangwa App Store. Andikamo RBA. Ushakishe. Wahageze. Ishimire application ya RBA. Aho usanga amakuru ndetse ukanahasanga radiyo zose za RBA, amakuru y'urukundo, amakuru ya siporo, ay'imyidagaduro. Application ya RBA urayisanga kuri
Good evening to you all, and thank you for joining us here on Rwanda Television News tonight. We do hope you had yourselves a productive Tuesday and a good day. Now here's a sneak peek of our edition. Residents and people working in countries where Rwandan peacekeepers are deployed commend the safety they enjoy, both personally and for their property. In Kigali on Tuesday, a new technology was launched to help strengthen trust between buyers and traders, ensuring that credit transactions no longer end in disputes or loss of confidence. On the international scale, there is evidence a renewables revolution could be beginning to take hold in Africa. The global energy think tank Ember suggests that imports of solar panels are up by 60% over the 12 months to June compared with the previous year. Once again, we're glad to have your company, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali, and I bringing you tonight's news is Martina Avera. Now let us begin by informing you that this afternoon at Urugwiro village, President Paul Kagame welcomed a bipartisan delegation from the U.S. Congress, including Representatives Austin Scott of Georgia and Salud Carbajal of California, both members of the House Armed Services Committee, as well as Representative Jimmy Panetta of California, a member of the House Ways and Means Committee. The delegation and President Paul Kagame discussed strategies to deepen and strengthen the partnership between Rwanda and the United States, focusing on key areas such as regional security, education, and healthcare. Moving ahead, residents and people working in countries where Rwandan peacekeepers are deployed commend the safety they enjoy, both personally and for their property. They testify to this as Rwanda marks 21 years since it began deploying its troops to international peacekeeping missions. Rwanda has transformed from being a country that once needed peacekeepers into one that contributes to building peace elsewhere. It does this through its participation in United Nations and African Union peacekeeping missions, as well as bilateral agreements with other African countries. It has now begun 21 years since Rwanda began sending its troops to peacekeeping operations, something that has become one of the pillars of the country's foreign policy and economy. Kefa Shimngayesu, a Rwandan who has worked in the construction sector in countries where Rwandan peacekeepers are deployed, says that when he first learned he would work in Sudan and Mozambique, he thought it would be difficult. However, once there, he found Rwandan soldiers providing him with safety and support in his daily work. In his speech at the closing ceremony of military courses at the Gabiro Combat Training Center, His Excellency President Paul Kagame stated that if those in Eastern Congo had requested Rwanda's assistance, that support would already have been provided and their problems effectively solved. President Kagame also emphasized that Rwandan soldiers are not mercenaries. Rather, anyone in need of their support can request it, and they will work together to maintain security, as Rwandan forces are always prepared. In 2004, 10 years after the genocide against the Tutsi, the AU and UN approached Rwanda seeking assistance, and Rwanda agreed to send troops. Rwandan peacekeepers were deployed to provide security to UN staff in Darfur and to help restore order in areas where more than 10,000 people had been killed and millions displaced. The work of Rwanda's security forces has since expanded to various countries, including the Central African Republic and Mozambique. Analysts say Rwanda's contribution to peacekeeping is proof of resilience and strong leadership. President Paul Kagame has said that some human rights institutions claiming to defend human rights behave as if Rwandans do not deserve those rights. Instead, their reports accuse those fighting for their rights while saying nothing about those who deny them, including a genocidal militia, FDLR. Adam Squizera with more.
Addressing over 6,000 officers and other ranks from the Rwanda Defense Force, the Rwanda National Police, and Rwanda Corrections Service as officers concluded their military career courses. President Kagame highlighted the issue of the armed groups such as FDLR and Wazalendo. The head of state criticized organizations and countries that ignore the threat posed by these groups and instead heap accusations on those who suffer the consequences of their actions, rooted in divisive ideology.
Bakabikora ku buryo ari interahamwe ari Wazalendo,
whether it is Interahamwe, Wazalendo, or the current government of Congo, the evil they have done and continue to do is evident to anyone, and forced refugees to flee here, and many others have been killed, with killing still happening even today. Yet nobody talks about that. I have never seen where they acknowledge it or write about it. This shows you the reason they want it to appear like that any problem in Eastern DRC, or even the whole DRC, is caused by Rwanda. Not the Interahamwe, not Wazalendo, not even the government, not anything else. So you understand where they stand. In debates at the UN Security Council, Rwanda's ambassador to the UN recently challenged its members, asking if they have failed to see clear evidence that the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo backs the FDLR, a militia composed of those who committed genocide against Tutsi in Rwanda, while instead choosing to place allegations on Rwanda.
Is it for lack of evidence that this group is backed by FDLR, by the Kinshasa government? I know you have a working methodology in the council where you adopt a language, but is there no objective criteria to adopt a language? Do you lack evidence, even within your own reports, that Kinshasa government backs FDLR? Why don't you want to present it for what it is?
President Paul Kagame reiterated that it is unacceptable for human rights organizations to act as though Rwandans are not entitled to human rights.
Bikaba byabitwa human rights rero, izi institutions za human rights zo ni nk'aho abanyarwanda badakwiriye rights.
Then belongs to those so-called human rights. These institutions of human rights act as if Rwandans don't deserve rights. It's like we won't deserve human rights. Yet our history shows that if there is any people who need human rights most, it's us. Instead, they accuse us unfairly. Struggles may take different forms. Some are fought with bullets, but others are in the other form of being labeled as what you are not, or being accused of things you did not do, and it be the struggle to tarnish you. That is the struggle we are facing today. Unless one that is worrying to see institutions claiming to advocate for human rights, publishing reports that appear to undermine peace processes, including that of Washington and Doha. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams, for that report. Now, data from the National Bank of Rwanda, BNR, show that in the first 6 months of 2025, new loans issued increased by 17% compared to those issued during the same period in 2024. Economic analysts note that these loans should continue to grow as they can help accelerate the country's economic development and strengthen the financial sector. Mr. George Dinga Tafon, an investor from Cameroon, is working with Rwandan banks on various real estate projects. He started in Bumbogo, Gasabo district in Kigali, with a project called Ubuntu Estate, which involves building over 400 residential units, and has since expanded to other parts of the country thanks to his strong collaboration with banks.
You can see this is now what we call the second phase of Bumbogo project. So we have another project in Dera, another project in Kanzenze. So, you know, as a developer, when you get into a country, you also want the financial institutions to accompany you in taking the risk. So once financial institutions are able to accompany you in taking the risk, it also motivates you to do more.
The investor says the loans he receives helps expand his business and also contributes to the country's overall development by providing employment opportunities.
I don't know if you could get a picture of how Bumbogo was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, this was a completely bush and agricultural area. So we have not only created jobs, we have made this place a livable community.
The construction sector is one of the largest recipients of loans, according to the report of the Central Bank of Rwanda. Together with business projects, industry and tourism, these sectors accounted for 60% of all loans issued in the first 6 months of 2025. Economic analysts emphasize that these loans should continue to grow, be issued more quickly, and also reach other sectors crucial for the country's economy, such as agriculture. The National Bank of Rwanda says it has recently encouraged financial institutions to focus on sectors that had previously lagged behind in loan access, including agriculture, and this effort is now bearing fruit. Data from the first 6 months of 2025 show that new loans issued increased by 17% compared to the same period in 2024. These new loans rose from 1,030 billion Rwandan francs in 2024 to 1,205 billion Rwandan francs in 2025. Financial experts argue that increasing Rwanda's savings rate to around 30% of GDP would ease the burden of costly foreign borrowing and help bring down high commercial bank interest rates. Borrowers across the country continue to raise concerns about expensive credit. For example, Umurenge Sako charges 24% interest, while some microfinance institutions and commercial banks demand rates as high as 45% for certain services. As entrepreneur Crepin Kaisire explains.
So dealing with a bank with its high interest rates, you do the math and it seems like you're going to be losing out on a lot. And you're not going to see that proof of concept if you have to pay those monthly repayments. So that's where we started looking for alternative equity models. And some of them are equity investments. There's angel investors. We just wanted patient capital that will work with us, and we could grow together without having to worry about high interest fees and monthly and recurring repayment periods. So that's why we chose to go that route.
Rwanda, like more than 130 other countries, faces a persistent trade deficit, often turning to foreign loans that carry high interest. This cost is ultimately transferred to local borrowers. According to Ferdinand Murenzi, Director of Financial Sector Stability at the National Bank of Rwanda, raising domestic savings relative to GDP is essential to reduce dependence on external debt. At present, Rwanda's savings rate stands at 12.4% of GDP. The target is to reach 25.9% by 2029 and 30% by 2035. Economist Francois Kanimba points out that this is not unique to Rwanda. Many African countries grapple with the same issue. He emphasizes that building stronger domestic capital markets would complement external financing. The private sector is expected to drive this effort under the second phase of the National Strategy for Transformation, NST2 2024 to 2029, particularly through large-scale investments. Entrepreneurs who started small and are now running major industries say they are confident the national savings goals can be met.
As you have seen, we are trying to expand or to have a bigger project which is in existence now. Almost we are soon commissioning it. And our products are all over the market of East Africa. We are exporting to some parts of Tanzania, some parts of Sudan, and our nearby Congo. And we intend to expand our products to Southern Africa. There's a very good market there. So what we are looking for is we want to have an impact from just being a market to other countries, but also to manufacture for other countries.
By 2029, Rwanda aims to raise total investment to 32.1% of GDP, with private sector contributions accounting for nearly half at 15.9%. Now in Kigali on Tuesday, a new technology was launched to help strengthen trust between buyers and traders, ensuring that credit transactions no longer end in disputes or loss of confidence. The technology, called Trust Me, was developed by a Rwandan company named Merozix in partnership with students from Rwanda Coding Academy. Its developers say the system will boost trust and integrity among people when it comes to lending and repaying money.
The client will get what he wants even though he's not having the cash immediately. And the wholesaler, the one who is selling, will also get the trust through the customer, because will be able to sell his or her products and also be paid through the Trust Me. Because Trust Me will make a follow-back and a follow-up of the customer who has asked for the loan.
As I studied into Rwanda Coding Academy, I've been able to gain skills into software development and embedded systems, allowing me to work on this application and also providing other different solutions to the community. I really appreciate working on this solution, because it's going to be very impactful in my point of view. It's going to help different businesses.
Both buyers and traders noted that doing business without extending credit is almost impossible, just as living without debt is rare. However, they pointed out that some people deliberately fail to repay what they owe, while others default due to unforeseen circumstances, which reduces trust among people. They welcomed the new technology as a solution to making credit and repayment more reliable. It is expected that the system will create over 3,000 jobs, with at least one staff member in every village to assist buyers and traders who wish to join. 9 delegates from different countries, members of the global anti-corruption and good governance watchdog Transparency International, commended Rwanda's achievements in the fight against corruption and injustice, particularly highlighting the country's emphasis on the use of technology in service delivery, which has significantly reduced opportunities for corruption and abuse. Accompanied by representatives of Transparency International Rwanda, the delegation visited Musanze district, where they were introduced to the land management system, toured Ruhengeri Hospital, Muhoza School Complex, and attended a community gathering in Chuve sector. At each stop, they learned how the use of technology in service delivery minimizes direct contact between citizens and officials, thereby closing gaps where corruption could occur. The guests praised the approach, describing it as an important lesson they will carry back to their respective countries. During the community gathering, they also observed how citizens' concerns are addressed publicly, further reducing chances of corruption and injustice. Residents themselves had the opportunity to express their role in supporting these initiatives, and one of them was Bruce Gashema, a research officer at Transparency International Rwanda, as he explained that visitors were eager to understand what strategies Rwanda employs to rank among countries with low levels of corruption. The visitors came from Zimbabwe, Zambia, Madagascar, Ghana, Uganda, and Rwanda. 132 young people took part in the 4th edition of the Art Rwanda Ubuhanzi competition, saying it is a great opportunity to showcase their talents while also presenting different projects that can help improve their lives and contribute to the country's development. The artists in this phase are those who excelled in the top 3 stages of the Art Rwanda Ubuhanzi contest. They competed in various categories, including singing, dancing, comedy, filmmaking, and photography. The jury, composed mainly of experienced professionals from different artistic fields, is tasked with selecting the young talents whose projects stand out the most. They noted that beyond being a competition, Art Rwanda Ubuhanzi is a solution for strengthening Rwanda's creative roots and raising them to another level.
The industry has been growing, you know. How fast? That's a good question, but it has been growing. Talents, we have a big talent pool in Rwanda, youth, whether it's in instruments playing or singers, composers. Really, we are at a good level right now. But as much as investment, you know, has been put into this sector, we're still lagging behind. We are lagging behind very much. So it's as if talent is always ahead of the investment. So we need to somehow find a way to invite the investors, the private sector, show them how much they can get in return, you know, or maybe have pilot projects where we can have people investing in talent, in music development, in music industry, or whatever it is, film, writing, theater, dance, you know, and then have some kind of maybe a pilot project like we're doing here at Ubuhanzi, you know, and then see where it will take us. Maybe just for the sake of proving to the private sector that there's a lot of money to be made here, because it has been proven elsewhere. All we gotta do is just take a look, you know, find the right people, the right mind, and then invest in this, and then we'll see how fast it will grow. Art Rwanda Ubuhanzi, not only they are investing in the artists, but they're also putting artists on a pedestal. They are showing the world, they're showing Rwanda that we have capable artists who can also make it in the business of art. So really they're putting art up there, you know, showing them the real art and then how business can work behind art. So it's great.
The Art Rwanda Ubuhanzi competitions are organized by the Imbuto Foundation in partnership with the Ministry of Youth, focusing on promoting talents of young people aged 18 to 35. For the first time, this edition brought together all artistic categories, featuring participants who excelled in their earlier rounds. 2 winners will be selected in each category, with each receiving 10 million Rwandan francs to implement their project. In the sectors of Budyeshi and Kabatwa, residents living near the Volcanoes National Park, home to a variety of wildlife, including mountain gorillas, say their livelihoods are good. They add that the favorable environment allows them to farm year-round without waiting for the rainy season. On top of that, they consider it a privilege to live close to the park, where at times they see the animals at no cost. In this part of the Volcanoes region, which spans sectors in Rubavu and Nyabihu districts, gates have been established for tourists visiting the gorillas.
Well, I mean, why not? It's fantastic and it's a good idea. If I understand it that way, we are like also paying for the schools and the hospitals and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's beyond question. I will definitely tell my friends and other people to come here to visit, not just for the gorillas, but just generally in Rwanda, because this country made a great impression on me, and I would very like for more people from my country to get to know about this beautiful land.
Figures show that currently more than 380,000 residents from 12 sectors bordering the Volcanoes National Park live in the region. From 2005, when the revenue sharing program was launched, up to 2024, communities around Volcanoes National Park have benefited from more than 6.5 billion Rwandan francs invested in various development and social welfare projects.
Every journey has a beginning. From nature comes refreshing fruity goodness that keeps you going every day. With every pack complementing life's best moments. Not one, not two, but 5 different fruity flavors. And this journey keeps giving. Introducing Inyange's new fruity juice flavors, guava and cocktail. Now available at your nearest shop. Always ask for Inyange.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo wagira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi harabamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma, yakoranaga umwete. Njye muri kaminuza hari abanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashisha, ariko byarangiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye ziba impamo. Bigereho.
Get ready for one of the biggest celebrations of the year. It's the 20th edition of Rwanda's iconic Kwitizina Gorilla Naming Ceremony, happening on Friday, September 5th, 2025, at the breathtaking foothills of Volcanoes National Park. Join thousands of guests, local communities, and international visitors as we honor Rwanda's newest mountain gorilla babies and celebrate 2 decades of conservation success. Celebrate the vibrant spirit of Rwanda. Join us for an unforgettable festival showcasing the best of Rwandan culture with traditional dances, live performances, and much more. Experience the heart and soul of Rwanda like never before. Come witness this global event where celebrities and conservation champions unite to name Rwanda's beloved gorillas. It's an experience like no other, a true celebration of conservation and culture. Mark your calendars and get ready for a week of exciting events. Be part of the story. Be part of the future of conservation. For more details, visit www.kwitizina.rw and be part of Rwanda's conservation legacy. Kwitizina 2025, where tradition meets celebration. Don't miss it.
Cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of death among women globally, including in Rwanda. Yet, it can be prevented through vaccination if the vaccine is taken early enough. That is why the Ministry of Health has established a program to vaccinate all girls against this cancer. The vaccine is now administered in a single dose only. It has been observed that some girls in Rwanda missed out on this vaccine, and thus a special campaign has been organized to provide the cervical cancer vaccine free of charge to girls aged 12 to 17 years who have never received it before. The campaign will run from August 4 to August 30, 2025 in all health centers across Rwanda. Don't miss this opportunity. Dear parents, vaccinate your daughter on time, remembering that protecting her health is your responsibility. This message is from the Ministry of Health through the Rwanda Biomedical Center, RBC.
Welcome back to other stories making headlines on the international scene. Now, there is evidence a renewables revolution could be beginning to take hold in Africa. The global energy think tank Ember suggests that imports of solar panels are up by 60% over the 12 months to June compared with the previous year. The data shows 20 African nations set new records for solar panel imports over the period, including Algeria, Zambia, Botswana, and Sudan. BBC News with more.
What we're seeing is Africa is the continent that has the most amount of sunlight, and this sunlight needs to be converted to energy. And so when you're looking at some of these different governments and you're looking at seeing progressive policy and what that is going to look like for the end users, I think it's absolutely fantastic. When we zero in on countries such as Nigeria with a population of over 250 million people, you realize that they fit part of the 600 million people on the continent without access to energy. And if solar has the capability to bridge that, then that is completely important right now.
What does it actually mean for the costs of countries which are buying more solar, and from what it then unlocks?
Access to energy unlocks potential and transforms lives. And when you have this access to this solar, what we're talking about is, first of all, you look at some of these different countries like Nigeria, you mentioned also Algeria. You're going to be affecting the factors and the cost of production. And this goes for all goods. Energy is by far the biggest cost when it comes to factors of production. So the minute you have incentivized policy where you're saying, let's remove the value-added tax and fees and a lot of the red tape that exists in importation and use of solar home systems and solar PVs, then you're saying that we as governments are prioritizing electrification and energy across countries. And this is going to see costs drop drastically. When we compare different costs of manufacturing in different countries across the continent, we look and see that the countries that have had lower costs of manufacturing and costs of power and energy have been getting much more investment. Put into case an example, Ethiopia, it's approximately $18, 12 cents for a kilowatt hour. Kenya is at 22. Nigeria has been at 55 cents. So if we're able to change this and introduce solar energy to be able to bridge this gap, then we're going to see a huge change in the factors of production, which is going to make energy access be more accessible, more affordable, more reliable, and definitely more deployable.
And most of the solar system is coming from China?
Yes, so that is the quagmire that we do exist in, and not only on the African continent today, but globally around the world. China is contributing approximately and are dominating 80% of the solar markets globally. So this means that most countries have to get most of their parts from China. Right now we're seeing in Africa, Nigeria have just announced they want to build a solar hub that's going to generate 1 gigawatt. We see other countries also stepping up. And this is how you bridge the gap. You are able to step up with innovation through research and development in your own countries and on the continent to be part of that manufacturing line. And this is going to play a big role. But it's very important to ensure that before we put legislation for protectionism, we have to ensure that, again, this solar is affordable and deployable. And this is only going to be done through government as a facilitator and an organizer for private sector to thrive. Those incentives must be there.
And that BBC story marks the end of our bulletin. Before we close off, on behalf of the news production team as well as the technical team, thank you very much for joining us here on Rwanda Television News. My name is Martina Avera, and up until next time, stay safe and have a good night.